Hey everyone, welcome back. So we've learned how to work with Access databases to analyze the data that's in them, to write queries, to extract data from them, and some neat little tricks mostly involved around extracting data from a database. And that's all very important. However, what we're going to look at starting this week is on the flip side of the coin. Instead of working with databases that already exist, we begin looking at, okay, so there's a new database application that needs to be written. You're the database guy who needs to write the database for it. Go. What makes a database good? What makes a database bad? How do we actually go about designing databases? So what we begin looking at here is part of the design process. Now, when we design tables, what we follow, generally speaking, is a series of rules to categorize the databases into what we refer to as normal forms. And we'll get into the normal forms shortly. But basically, what we are attempting to stop are anomalies in our data. We don't want to design a table that is badly designed that can cause us to have errors in our data along the way because we weren't thinking of these things as we designed it. So the three types of anomalies that can crop up in a database are what we refer to as insertion anomalies, update anomalies, and deletion anomalies. And we'll define these shortly. But in basics, what the anomalies do is they cause effects on other bits of data other than what we were intending to happen. So I've designed a database that, believe it or not, actually has all three types of anomalies in just this one table in these 5 fields. So what we have here is student ID, course name, last name and first name, and then their major. So first, what we're going to define here is the insertion anomaly. The insertion anomaly is a condition where you need to know information other than what you were trying to insert. So, to demonstrate, you and I, as database administrators, look at this data and these 5 records and go, okay, so if I want to enroll this student into English 101, well, that's very simple. You know, we can read most of the data off of what we see up there, and we go, okay, English 101, and that's her last name, and that's her first name, and this is her major, and of course it helps if you spell it correctly. And this is a complete record. And you're right, this record effectively says this student is in this course. So as database people, we see that, we know how it works, we understand how it works. But what the front office desk staff see, and what most users see in a database application, is actually a form like this. They see one record at a time. So put yourself in this student's shoes. You go up to the registrar's office and you say, I want to take this class. And normally they have you fill out a form and do all this other bureaucratic rigmarole, but what they're basically going to ask you is, what's your student ID and what's the course you want to take? So I've got this button here on this form to add a record. So let's enroll this student. I've got their form. I'm filling it out later. So I know their student ID is 2, and they want to take English 101, and their last name was, I think it started with an H, something like that. Oh yeah, it was Emily Hale, and Oh dear, what's her major again? What's her major? This is an example of an insertion anomaly. Because now, in order to enroll a student in a course, all I really need is the student ID and course ID. But I have to supply these other things too in order to complete the record. So, and this can lead to errors too, where if I misspell her name, or whoops. Let's see, let's do it again. English 10201. I can misspell the name. It doesn't matter. Or I can say she's in a different major than she really is. Save the record. And now I've got another student ID too with a different last name than these others in a different major. This one's missing a major, and it just becomes this headache. This is a great example of an insertion anomaly. So now I'm going to delete these two records I just added, and we'll demonstrate the update anomaly. We've already seen the update anomaly a little bit already, where, okay, I'll put another one of those Emily Hale records in there. Whoops. So, Emily Hale just got married. Her last name's changed. Okay. So, as database people, we could write a query to change every occurrence of her last name. And that would actually be the correct way to go about it. But what's going to happen is someone at the front desk staff is going to go searching through records, and they'll see a record with Emily Hale in it. Oh, that's not her last name anymore. It's actually Emily Smith now. Save it. And then they feel all good because they've corrected some data and they go, yay, I should get the inter-office pat on the back award. Okay, good. So let's have a look at our data now. Now we have an Emily Smith, and now we have an Emily Hale. Which is correct? Well, if you were aware of the circumstances and you were around back when that took place, you know, well, that's Emily Smith now. But what if that marriage took place 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Remember, particularly some institutions like colleges have to hold on to records for a long, long time. This is a demonstration of an update anomaly. A change has caused our data to be correct in some places and not correct in others. So, an update anomaly. That is what we refer to as an update anomaly, whenever a change is not fully taken place. So, okay, a deletion anomaly. Deletion anomalies are actually a little more scary because now crucial data goes away and it's just gone. You've got to go back to a backup if you want to get it back. So, I'll delete this Emily Smith. And here we are with our students again. So, I actually ought to add a button to this real quick. Again, because this is the type of thing that front desk staff use. They don't work directly in databases. They use a form to do their job. The forms make the changes in the database. It is a database application. So, let's say I want to... Emily Hale is no longer taking Criminal Justice 202. Okay. So, we can delete this record. We delete the record. She's no longer enrolled in the course. Great. Okay, so now student 2 wants to take another course. What was her name? What was her major again? You don't know these things anymore because you've deleted a course enrollment, and as a result, that data about the student herself is now gone. So now it's as if she was never here. A deletion anomaly is where a removal of data has removed more than intended. All we wanted to do was to unenroll a student from a course, not erase her from existence. But because of my badly designed database, that's exactly what I've done. So now that you understand hopefully what the anomalies are, starting with the next lesson, we're going to begin covering the rules that your databases need to follow to prevent these kinds of anomalies.